It's Fill Your Plate Now, where every bite brings you closer to the farm gate and further from what's unhealthy. Now, here's your hosts, Julie and Tammy, helping you live well by filling your plate well.
Tammy, being that I am not as gifted in the kitchen as so many other individuals that I know in my life, including the guests that we have today, I'm kind of excited that we're going to focus for 2 episodes on kitchen hacks.
Oh, I'm really excited. I mean, just looking at some of the gadgets she has, and I don't have any idea what they do, but they look really cool.
Yes.
But she is an amazing expert in so many areas of the culinary world.
And we've both been blessed in knowing her for quite some time. So I'm ready for you to introduce our guest.
I know. Well, it took us a while to get on her schedule. So she is a very popular lady. She's been in broadcasting for a number of years, and then she retired only to come back and do cooking classes, as well as now she has a national TV show.
Yes. Do you
So
know what it is? It's
Cook
called
Like an Italian. Yes. And
How
so,
to Cook Like an Italian.
Jan Audrey, thank you so much for being here with us today. We're so excited to learn a little bit more about all of this, as well as just hear what you've been doing and more about your cooking show.
Thank you guys so much. What an introduction. I am so humbled. Thank you. I love what we're doing today because there's so many great tips and so many things that people do wrong and sabotage themselves in the kitchen, and they don't need to. Jules, it needs to be fun. And I mean, it's easy for me to say that because I love to cook as a passion. And I know there are a lot of people that see it as drudgery, and I get that. But there's so many things that you can do to make your life easier if you have to put a meal on the table or if you want to put a meal on the table.
Well, I've seen you do a number of cooking demonstrations, and I know you test out your recipes multiple times, and they're always amazing. But, you're right. It needs to be fun. It's hard to cook if it's drudgery.
And safe,
Yes.
right?
Fun and safe.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go to something that makes us cry.
Oh, you must be talking about onion.
Yes. One of my favorites to put in foods, but I really don't know that much about which onion to use for which thing and how to cut
Yes.
them and what to do with them and
Yeah.
what the sautéing does. So I'm going to turn it over to you to educate us a little bit on onions.
So let's talk about the onion.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, I steer clear of all onions except one, and that is a sweet yellow onion, a sweet onion.
Oh.
It's going to give you so much more flavor. The white onion has a bit of a bitterness to it. The red onion, if you're going to use a red onion, which is generally used in a salad, is really, really, really cut back. There's a lot of foods that can sabotage your recipe. Red onion is one of them. If you overdo the red onion, that's all you taste is red onion. So I say the sweet yellow onion, now it's going to cost you more, a little bit more, sometimes a lot more than the brown onion, more than the white onion, but it is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. And we actually came across a pretty neat idea for not crying. First of all, the older onions make you cry. And if you're buying a big sack of onions, sometimes those onions are 2 or 3 years old in the warehouse.
I didn't know that. Wow.
So, and the other thing is not to bash grocery stores or anything, because I get where they're at and I get what they have to do, but they're freezing our onions. And so you take them home. I'm not saying all of them, but once in a while you'll get a frozen onion. You take it home, you peel it, and it's mushy and brown. And that's because it's been frozen. So, and we can talk about storing foods like tomatoes, just getting away from the onion for a second. Never, ever, ever refrigerate your tomato. Do you know that?
I learned that
I had
from my
heard
mother. Even I
that.
knew that.
They seem to lose
And
their
why?
flavor.
Why did she say that,
Well,
Jules?
I don't know if she gave me a great explanation, but I think it's continuing to ripe, especially if you get it fresh, or I don't know,
No.
it doesn't lose its flavor or something.
Here's what happens with the tomato when you refrigerate it. It turns to about 90% water, right? And so you're right. You're both right. The flavor is gone. So when you buy tomatoes or onions, buy them like your grandma did. Buy them when you need them and then use them. in Arizona, you keep them on the counter for a day and they're already ripe. But so yeah, just never refrigerate a tomato ever, ever, ever. Onions you can store in a paper bag or in a dark place. But the sweet yellow onion is the key. And if you cry, there's a couple of reasons why you're crying. Number one is if you have a dull knife.
Well,
It
that would
can-
be my problem.
Okay, Tammy, a dull knife will smash the onion instead of giving it a clean cut. And the smashing is the thing that all the sulfur and all of that comes out and it makes you cry because you're literally pulverizing it instead of a good clean cut. The other thing is one of our chefs at Sweet Basil, she puts a big wad of a paper towel, a wet paper towel, on her cutting board. And we started doing that in class and you don't cry.
Oh, what is it doing? Just absorbing the...
It's taking all that, it's the sulfur in the onion and it's going into that paper towel instead of into your eyes. Yeah, soaking it up. So anyway, but sweet yellow onion.
Oh,
So the
that's...
sweet yellow onion, my dad loves it so much, and it's what he always gets, and he will eat them raw because he loves onions so much.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
No heartburn, no aginaire.
For lunch, he would always slice one up and slice it into quarters, and he'd have 1/4 for himself, and he'd try to convince us we should have a quarter too. I'm convinced that's why he's as healthy as he is.
Probably.
He ate raw onions all the time.
A lot of people had like onion sandwiches with just white bread, mayonnaise, and onion.
Yeah, a couple of people I know that are European like yellow onions
Yeah.
raw.
And then to cook them, you want to saute them. You always start with a hot pan and hot oil. That's really important to remember. A lot of people put the skillet on their cooktop, they add their oil, and then they add their onions, and then they turn the heat on. That does not work. Get your pan hot, get your oil hot, and then throw your onions in there and saute those onions at medium heat for a long time. What you want is that beautiful caramelization, that beautiful golden brown. That is when I make meatloaf, when I do meatballs, all of your recipes call for putting chopped onion in the batter, in the meatloaf batter, right? Saute them first in a little butter or olive oil. Get them to get that natural sweetness out. Cool them down, then throw them in your batter, and you will have a meatloaf or a meatball like you can't even imagine.
Oh, that sounds so easy.
It is.
And yet, it makes it that much more flavorful.
It's so 100% more flavorful.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So you've talked about onions, but what about garlic? And before you launch into teaching us about using garlic,
My rant.
it's a good one though. You have launched, and I think you're in your second season, the Cook Like an Italian.
Right.
And it's a national show on what network?
Well, it's on Apple TV and it's on Fire TV, a lot of different places for streaming. But the easiest way to get all of my episodes for season 1 and 2 is just to go to my website, jandiatri.com, jandatri.com, and all of the episodes are archived. Sometimes it's hard to find the apps on Apple TV. It's just a bit of a challenge. So you can get all of the episodes right there.
On your website.
Great.
I want to plug Arizona Farm Bureau because we do sponsor you. And
sponsor,
for the
yes.
second season, we have sponsored. But it's really attracted a lot of attention, and it makes sense. You're Italian. Your mama is Italian
my
and one
gosh.
of the most amazing cooks. So, if you're Italian, you've got to cook with garlic.
Have to
So
have garlic.
talk about garlic. What are some hacks for us about the use of garlic?
So I've been teaching gourmet cooking classes at Sweet Basil in Scottsdale for 4 years now, believe it or not. That was my retirement, you guys. I just wanted to go fishing. That's all I wanted to do was fish, and here I am working 6 days a week. But in the class, I consider myself a very benevolent chef until it comes to the subject of garlic. And then I become, what would I call it? Chefzilla. Because of this thing right here. So I'm holding up a jar of I call it unknown, weird, awful, terrible, really, really big.
I'll never buy it
And
again.
this is the point in the class where I see
buy
this
it
look.
in the big, yeah.
Okay, so here's what I do, Tammy,
Okay.
in my class. I make everybody raise their hand. So I'm going to make you raise your hand. Jan,
Jan,
I swear,
I swear,
I will never, ever, ever
I will never, ever, ever
buy this stuff in a jar again. Minced
buy
garlic in a jar.
the minced garlic in a jar again.
And furthermore,
And furthermore,
I will go home
I will go home
and throw out what I have.
and throw out what I have. Oh, darn, I just got
Because-
another big bottle of
because I will come and have you arrested.
Okay.
Tammy,
I'll do that.
first of all, look at the color. So when you see this minced garlic in a jar, it's the color of rancidity. That's what this is it's rancid garlic. You can always tell a pizza place when they use garlic in a jar. It's got that, it's just an awful flavor, and it will permeate everything. This does not look like fresh garlic, so you know it's old and it's rancid and it smells really bad. You have garlic so readily available every day, all year long. Grab the fresh garlic. You can buy cloves of garlic that don't need to be peeled, and that's better, but get a big clove of garlic. And there's some really cool gadgets, like there's these little silicone rollers.
I was just going to ask about the best way to, because part of the problem, the deterrent with the big cloves of garlic is getting that skin off. and
Yeah, so
getting
you
it-
just roll this, and out comes the garlic with the look at that.
Yes, it looks beautiful.
What is that called?
So this is it's just a garlic roller.
Okay.
And you can find
makes
these at our store or online. And then this is a garlic cube. And if you don't want to chop garlic, you just put that in there. It's got it's called a garlic cube, and it's got a little area for mincing or for slicing. You put your garlic in there, done. And your
you've
garlic
minced
is
it.
all minced.
And for those that are
wow.
listening on
at that.
streaming, it literally looks like a garlic cube.
Here you go.
Oh, that's great.
So, Tammy, look at the difference between fresh garlic and this jar of who knows what this is. This
Yeah.
should never be available.
Okay,
anywhere.
you've shamed me into it. No,
But you
that
know
looks
what?
like the recipe would turn out so much better with that
Fresh.
fresh garlic because it's white and it's crisp, and the other just looks brown and soggy. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not shaming you, Tammy, but today your life is going to change.
Today I'm using only fresh garlic. Yes.
Now,
from
if you
here on.
see, a lot of times you'll see the little green stems coming out. It's just an old garlic. So pull that stem out and use it, or toss it out and use another one. But fresh garlic is everywhere, always, and it's just wonderful.
So you're probably cooking with it, what, daily?
Oh,
or-
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's
All the
the
time.
Italian in you. Should we be using more garlic in our cooking than we... Garlic is healthy for us, too.
You're asking an Italian if they should be using more garlic? What am I
Irish.
going to answer that?
So I'm Irish. You have to help me.
Well, I was going to ask, is there any recipe that's Italian that does not use garlic?
Oh, sure.
Are there?
absolutely.
Okay, because
But then
so
the
many do.
Tiramisu.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, all
Well,
the desserts.
yes.
But garlic is a must, and it's very good for you. When I was in college, I don't know if I should even share this. It's a little embarrassing, but when I had a cold, I would take garlic cloves and I would get a Band-Aid and I would attach them to my lymphatic areas, my wrist and I'll tell you what, it killed that cold so quickly. So
But it was fresh garlic. It was not the pre-minced garlic in a jar.
thank you. Exactly, Julie.
Wow.
But garlic is good. And so are mushrooms. And that's a whole nother topic that is amazing.
Mushrooms.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and garlic, I use garlic a lot too when I'm working with meat products like steaks and things. Do you use a lot of garlic, or what kind of things do you like to do with
Absolutely. You can
red
do
meats
some
and-
nice slivered garlic. If you like Ina Garten, we do a cooking with Ina Garten every month, and we take her recipes. We cook through her cookbooks. We've done it for 2 years now. And if you know anything about Ina Garten, she loves garlic. In fact, 40 cloves for her chicken dish.
I love
She
her
loves
recipes.
garlic,
yes.
butter, and lemon juice. Those 3 things are Ina Garten. But one of the things that she does is, if you guys have a chance to look up her outrageous garlic bread, she takes an entire clove, entire head of garlic, puts it in a pan with a bunch of butter, and then steeps it. for about 20 minutes. So the benefit is you're getting brown butter, which is awesome, and you're getting a softened garlic, and then you just mash it with a fork and you spread it on your French bread, your baguette with a little bit of cheese. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
I'm getting hungry
It's
already.
so good. The garlic is good in everything.
Great.
Anything else on garlic with the garlic hacks? Obviously, number one priority is it has to be fresh. Get fresh garlic.
Right. And if you
Get rid of
don't,
your jars of
yeah, get rid of this
pre-minced
stuff.
garlic.
If you've got the little stem, just peel it off and use it. Store it. You don't want to store it in the refrigerator. If you can store it, they have these little garlic homes or little garlic jars. I just keep mine on the counter, and it's just fine. It doesn't get soft or anything like that. A lot of the chefs will take, if you don't like the smell of garlic in your fingers, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't, but you can take a stainless steel bowl and just wipe your hand on the stainless steel bowl and then wash your hands, and it gets rid of the garlic smell.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting. I've always heard lemon juice helps with
Lemon
that.
juice is
but
good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, that's great. That's good to know. Wow.
Yes.
Well, and you mentioned mushrooms.
I am obsessed with mushrooms right now because so many people are not cooking them properly. So the thing about mushrooms, number one, they're so incredibly healthy. In fact, I do a mushroom supplement right now that has turkey tail mushroom and reiki and all of those beautiful mushrooms in a capsule form.
I have done some mushroom supplements too, just to
They're
try it out.
amazing. They're loaded with antioxidants. I think I don't know if it was Cleveland Clinic or no, the City of Hope. They did some research on mushrooms and found out that it's a real deterrent to prostate and breast cancer. But the thing about mushrooms is they are grown. If you wonder why they're so abundant all the time, is a mushroom grows in 24 hours.
I didn't know
And they
that.
grow without any sunlight. No sunlight at all. And so, but the way to cook a mushroom, most people will just slice the mushroom up, get it in a skillet with some butter, and then just wait till they're a little bit soft. A mushroom is 92% water. So you have got to cook that mushroom until all of the water is evaporated, and then you end up with the beautiful, that umami flavor of a caramelized mushroom. And you don't get that until about 20 minutes later. You cook it, cook it, cook it, and what you'll see, the first step is you'll see a lot of water coming out of your mushrooms, and then it starts drying up, and then once it dries up, keep cooking it, and then you'll see this golden brown caramelization. My mouth is watering thinking about it because it makes the difference between night and day with a mushroom. And never put water anywhere near your mushrooms. That's the biggest mistake people make is they wash their mushrooms. Tammy, I'm learning a lot about you today. But
okay.
never, because what it is a sponge and it'll absorb all your water. You're never going to get that caramelization. It's going to taste like that little jar of minced mushrooms that your grandmother bought to put in her mushrooms, cream of mushroom soup, flavorless and gray,
Oh.
right? That's what your mushroom's going to taste like if you water it. So dry it with a paper towel or a little mushroom brush, and you're good to go. Most button mushrooms are grown in a sterile environment these days.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of dirt on there.
And a little dirt won't hurt us.
Right? Exactly. But try that next time you get mushrooms. Cook it until you can't even believe you're cooking it and keep cooking it. And then you'll notice the flavor.
And rather than washing them off, you brush them off
Or with a dry
with
paper
a
towel.
towel. How do you know which type of mushroom to use? The different flavors of various,
Right.
like the white versus the Bella versus.
Right. So your interchangeable are the button mushrooms, the cremini, and the baby bellas. Those three can be used interchangeably if you're doing a beautiful steak and you want a side of mushrooms, or if you're doing a mushroom tart, all of those. Now, shiitake and all your Asian mushrooms, that's a different story, different flavor profile. Those are used in Thai food, in Oriental cooking. But so I always I love the white button mushrooms, and I love the baby bellas and the creminis. A portobello has a different flavor profile. That's a big one, and you want to slice those up very thin, and those are good grilled. or sautéed, but they have a bit of a different flavor, a little bit stronger flavor.
I've seen those used in place of meats
Yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely.
But I didn't realize the baby bellas were different than the portobellas.
They're just baby portobellas.
Okay, but they aren't quite as strong
Yeah, they have
of
a
a
kind of a
flavor.
different flavor
Okay.
to them. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, and one thing I want to point out is a lot more of our farmers are growing mushrooms, and some of them they're specializing in that. They're mushroom farmers. So if you're wanting to find out or discover that, go to any of your local farmers markets. Invariably, especially for those markets that are pretty significant or a little bit larger, you'll find at least one mushroom farmer there.
That is
It's
amazing.
becoming more popular.
Do you know that there's a similarity between us humans and mushrooms? We're the only things that create
Can grow in the dark.
they're the only things that create vitamin D. So we create vitamin D as human beings, and mushrooms create vitamin D. It's the only vegetable in the produce aisle that does that.
That does the vitamin D.
Yeah.
Eggs, we have to give a call out to Hickman's. Eggs do produce, they have vitamin D in them also. And of course, we can get our vitamin D from the sun. But I didn't know that mushrooms in the vegetable world.
That's right. It's the only one. Yeah.
So here's my question then. When you're having a nice steak for the evening, are you always cooking your mushrooms down and then having that little side dish of mushrooms?
1,000%.
Okay, so you can add it to your...
Anything.
Wow.
It's just, they are so delicious when they're cooked properly, and very few people take the time to cook them to their fullest potential.
And it sounds like the key to that is, besides the fact that you're having to cook out the water, is that you've easily 15 to 20 minutes. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And the grocery stores, we used to be able to buy mushrooms in the big bins and pick our own. Now we can't do that. They're already prepackaged in the pint and quart containers. They have little holes on top. The problem with that is they have that spray in the produce section all day long. So that
water spray,
water
yeah.
is getting into the mushrooms. And if you take a box of mushrooms home and it's soggy, take them back. The store needs to know that that's not right. We're kind of settling, and we shouldn't. These are great products that we need to consume the right way. So, and then
Where do you purchase mushrooms from?
I go to the store
Uh-huh.
and I just carefully make sure that when I'm home that they all look great. You're going to see a mushroom with the veil on top gone. It looks black inside.
Mhm.
And then you'll see ones where the veil is completely covered. Doesn't matter. It just means it's a little bit of an older mushroom and that veil has come apart and you can see the scales below. Not a problem. And use the stems. People throw the stems away. I don't know why. It's part of the mushroom and it's great.
I'm hungry.
Let's make a statement.
Yes.
It's great flavor from mushrooms.
Yes. Let's talk about all the dishes then that you can use mushrooms in. I mean, it's kind of endless, right? Especially in your Italian cooking.
It is. And let's say a tomato sauce or a bolognese, a meat sauce, porcini mushrooms. Unbelievable. You can buy dried porcinis anytime in the produce section, but if you go online and you get porcini powder, you put a little bit of that on your steak and you have the most amazing steak. A lot of steakhouses will do a porcini rub.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable. But mushrooms are great in sauces, in some soups, like a wonton soup. They're great in a frittata. They're great in a Gruyere tart. They're great as a side with lots of butter and parsley and a little bit of garlic. They're just
Almost endless.
Yeah, you can do a burger with the portobello, instead of a hamburger patty.
That putting it on a steak, that's interesting. I'm going to
Oh,
have to try that. That
amazing.
sounds amazing.
It's so good. So
The
good.
rub.
Yeah.
Now, and that's one of the things that I've been curious about. Obviously, onions and garlic, but what are some baseline spices that we should keep in our
For just
spice
cooking in
cabinet? Yeah.
general? Okay, so I would say, first of all, salt and pepper, nice salt. I would say red pepper flakes. The problem with red pepper flakes, though, is it can overpower your dish. So if you have a recipe, it calls for a teaspoon. Tammy's rolling her eyes again. If you call for a recipe, teaspoon of red pepper flakes, dial it back, put a quarter of a teaspoon, and then taste it. You can always add heat. It's harder to take heat away.
True.
It really is. And sometimes you can't take heat away at all. Garlic powder is one of my favorite things. It is not in the family of this.
Okay.
Garlic powder will add a completely different flavor profile. I love to season my steaks and my chicken with pepper, salt, and garlic powder. Boom, done. It's amazing. I love cumin. I love something called harissa that is a great flavor spice. Let's see. I wouldn't go with Italian seasonings. I would do fresh. Fresh thyme, fresh oregano, fresh rosemary, fresh basil. They're always available. I mean, if you're doing a salad dressing and it requires that, then I would say the dried, like dried basil, dried parsley. But if you can,
Use
eat
fresh.
like a farmer,
Right.
right?
Have it fresh. That's
Have it fresh.
that-
That whole food pyramid thing is changing so much, and that is one of
Yep.
the things that they flipped it
They flipped it.
completely.
Yep.
yes.
And now it's really all about the whole food era, right? The problem that we're seeing with the industry down the road with this new pyramid is that whole food doesn't last long because it doesn't have the preservatives. So your industry is really going to have to wrestle with how to grow and keep whole foods without preservation, with this new food pyramid. But it's all about more protein,
All the
Yeah,
good
more
stuff that we
whole.
produce.
fresh
Mhm.
herbs and vegetables, a lot more.
We have no problem with that, with our proteins, our meats. We're already fresh. It's already there. It's a lot of times when it goes down the food supply chain where there might be. But if you stick with your whole foods, I think it's almost more the consumer's responsibility. That's why we need to listen to Jan Diotri more, because you're teaching us how to cook with these whole foods, and we actually have to cook.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And one more question about spices,
Yeah.
though. How long can you keep your spices?
So my mom is 98.
Tammy is
I've
kind of
heard-
revealing herself.
I've heard various things.
My mom is 98 years old and going strong. She cooks with me up at the school all the time. She just won a bridge tournament. She walks 3 miles a day. She is a blue zone. We cleaned out her spice cabinet one day and I said, Mama, this cinnamon is from 1935. She goes, it's still a good, and there's still some in the can, and don't throw it away. And so I would say I keep my spices a very long time, but I also go through spices a lot, because
Sure.
I'm cooking.
Okay.
99% of the day, I'm either teaching cooking or I'm cooking at home. But I would say, there is a sell date on there. But I mean, I really think dried spices will last a good long time. Keep them in the dark in your pantry. Anything that's exposed to sunlight, your olive oil, your spices, they're going to go bad quicker.
Mhm.
So just keep them in a cool cupboard. And I think, a year, 5, 20, like Mama, 50 years,
Yeah.
that's just fine.
Oh, good. I pass on this one.
You did pass on that
There's
one.
probably people out there that are pulling their hair out and going, she doesn't know what she's talking about, but that's just my opinion on that. I also am a daughter of a mom who grew up during the Depression and World War II, and it was a sin to throw anything out. I still, to this day, kiss a piece of bread before I throw it in the garbage because it's a sin. And so it's hard for me. I have to battle that. Do I throw it out or do I keep it? Because I don't want to waste food and throw it out.
Right.
Well, and you probably don't have to because you're cooking so much,
So
which
much.
causes another question with as crazy busy as your schedule is, with your new show, Cook Like an Italian, the cooking classes that you offer, and you basically said you're working 6 days a week. You are not getting to go fish. But
I
how are
know,
you?
Julie,
I
why did
know.
I do that?
Crazy. Well, because more people want to learn how to cook like you.
Then fish.
And then fish. Then fish. But how do you manage that? How do you, with your busy schedule, is there a lot of pre-prepping that you're doing in your kitchen before you actually cook?
Yes, like Tammy said, it's really important. We don't get a chance to sample. Here's what happens is I work with 4 chefs, and every 3 months we sit down and we write about 238 recipes. We write for the next 3 months.
Wow.
So we are in go mode on the computer, writing recipes and testing them because when we bring them to the class, they have to work. We can't experiment in class. These people pay a lot of money. They want a good experience. They want to be successful. So we have to know that those recipes are going to work.
Okay.
So when I'm not cooking, I'm writing recipes or working on the show. So it's 24/7 for me.
Yeah, so it sounds like then, in a sense, some of your cooking is testing these recipes. So you're almost forced to cook separate from your. I hope with all this cooking that you still enjoy cooking.
I do, and
Okay,
I
good.
can't say I'm forced because, in fact, I told my husband the other day, I said, John, I'm going to wander the house one day and see if there's another room besides the kitchen. I'm sure there is. I just haven't gotten there yet. I would rather be in the kitchen 100% of my time because I can look out and see my donkey and my chickens and my horse and my tortoises. I can see them from the kitchen. But it's a passion for me. The one thing that surprises me is how many people don't cook or don't like to cook or don't cook well. And a lot of these are seniors, and I just think, gosh, how did that happen? But people find it drudgery. And so you've got to make it simple and fun. We do cooking classes for kids and teens all summer. And we don't dummy it down. We teach them how to saute, flambe, do a steak, do homemade fettuccine, and they love it. So the kids today are sort of cooking more than their family, and the parents are coming along because their kids love to cook so
That
much.
is
It's kind of it's
so funny.
switched.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think with getting away from ultra processed foods, you have to work with real food and learn to cook.
Right.
And just even cooking a piece of meat. A lot of individuals don't know how to do that. I mean,
Right.
I know that you're supposed to take the meat out ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
what's that trick?
here's a good, do you know why they recommend you take the steak out of the refrigerator about a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour before you cook it?
No.
So you do that because if you took that beautiful New York steak out of the refrigerator and put it in a skillet, that steak is cold. That means the fat and the marbling is cold. It's not going to cook at the same temperature as the raw meat.
Sure.
So you take it out and you put it at room temperature so the fat, the marbling, and the meat is all the same temperature. Then when you put it on your grill or in your pan, it's going to cook at an even temperature.
That is great to
Okay?
know.
Then you want to sear it really high heat on both sides. And then you lower the heat and either finish it off in the oven or cook it at a lower heat. You don't want to go any more than about 135, 140 degrees internal temperature. Now that seems pretty raw, but it's going to overcook about 5 degrees. And when you overcook meat, it's not tasty.
Not just as good.
Yeah.
So you would be so proud of me, Jan, because and I learned this from you, heating that skillet first and
Oh,
getting it really hot. And then I'm tossing, and it's a thick slab of butter, so I hope I'm okay with that.
oh, heck
And then-
yeah.
Butter
And
always
then-
makes
yes.
things better.
And then I'm doing what the chefs do, which I see you and others where they're pouring the melted butter over the steak as
You
you're
bet.
searing both sides. And oh my gosh, my steak has come out 100% better.
Isn't it beautiful? You tilt that pan,
Yeah,
you get a
that's what I was-
spoon, and you just scoop that butter. And the benefit of that is you're getting there's one thing better than butter, and that's brown butter. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't do it because they don't know how. What you do for brown butter is you get a skillet, turn it on medium high, throw that butter in there, and just cook it until it's that beautiful amber color. You're going to get these little bits. People throw the bits out. Don't.
I
That's
have kept
flavor.
mine. Because I thought,
And brown
whatever.
butter is great for anything, for your vegetables, for your steak, for your cupcakes, your cake, your cookies.
Mm.
Brown butter all the way. It's amazing.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. And you don't throw those little flecks out. You
No,
keep
those
that.
are just little flavor bombs. Those are great. Absolutely.
Butter just
Good
adds
kit-
so
kit-
much flavor.
It
to
does.
And
everything.
very
I
good
love
kitchen
it.
hack.
Yes.
It does. And unsalted butter versus salted butter. You always want unsalted for two reasons. One is you want to control your own salt content, but also the salted butter is an older butter, right? So
Keeps longer with
yeah,
the salt.
it's a
Preserves
preservative.
it. Yeah.
Right. So you always want the freshest ingredient, I think.
That's great.
Yeah. And that's what's great about Italian food is it's simple, it's fresh, and it's very few ingredients, you know.
I love Italian food. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. And I love all your gadgets. The garlic gadget, I absolutely love that.
Isn't
And
that great?
I see you've got a cheese gadget
So
there,
this is
too.
in your honor, Tammy,
Oh.
because of your cheese background and dairy background. This is called a cheese ribboner. And when you see these fancy chefs on television, and then when you go to the store, the cheese shops in the store, they sell them. This cheese is called Tetemont. It's a French cheese, or you can do it with manchego. You need a very hard cheese. I put it on this cheese ribboner, and all I'm going to do is just spin this, and look at this.
Look at
Beautiful
that.
ribbons
This
of
makes
cheese.
the most
Pretty.
beautiful. Look at that.
Great on a charcuterie board.
Yes, that's exactly what you do is you put this right on a charcuterie board, and that just is beautiful.
Lovely. It's a little
It's
carnation
Yes, it
almost. It's so
is.
ribboned
Exactly
on
right.
the edges.
And you can do it with chocolate. You can melt your chocolate coating in a container and then put it on there, and you get these beautiful chocolate shards. But I love this cheese ribboner. I bring this to class all the time, and we just garnish,
Oh,
our
that's a
plates with it.
great idea.
Isn't that neat?
Yes, yes.
And it's always with a hard cheese.
It has to be a hard
Yeah.
cheese. This thing, up at Sweet Basil, we work with a company called Dream Farm. They're a bunch of designers from Australia, and they have decided not to invent new gadgets, but to take what's on the market and make it better. And boy, have they. So this is called a flusser. And what this does is you put your lemon in here and you squeeze it, and it gets 1,000% of the juice out effortlessly. It catches the seeds, and then it stores in your drawer flat.
I love it.
Isn't it amazing? This
Yeah.
is a must. This is one of our hottest sellers.
And what's it called again?
It's called a flusser.
Flusser.
Yeah, flusser.
That sounds like a bad word.
This is
You have
called
a
a
flusser?
This is the other handy gadget to have in your kitchen. This is called a sharple. And what this is it's a potato and carrot peeler, but it sharpens itself.
Okay.
So every time you use it, you can
Potatoes are such a pain. to-
right, exactly. And so
now
there's
don't
it's
cut
so
your
sharp.
finger on the
And then you
shows, Jan.
store it with that, right?
That's great.
This thing is the silliest thing in the world, and I can't live without it. Hard-boiled eggs. Oh my goodness. How do you tell when it's perfect? You throw this in, it's called an eggler or an egg timer. You put that in your pot with your water and your egg, and it will tell you when it's soft, medium, or hard. It changes
Really?
color.
Oh.
And you have perfect hard-boiled eggs every time.
No wonder you stay in the kitchen.
I
You're
know.
having fun with the
I
gadgets.
love all the gadgets.
I brought my knife because there's two accidents that happen in the kitchen more than any other. And these are the two things that will send people to the emergency room. You talk to any doctor and they'll go, yeah, mandolin accident again today. The little mandolin is what you use to grate potatoes and everything very fine.
Mhm.
It's very dangerous because there's a guard that goes with this, and they're not using the guard.
Oh.
So they're grating their potato or their carrot or
and their
whatever,
finger.
and their finger. And Tammy, as I mentioned to you, most kitchen accidents happen with a dull knife, not a sharp knife. You want to make sure that your knives are very, very sharp all the time, especially like a tomato. If you have a dull knife, you're trying to cut
That's
through
true.
that skin and you can't.
Yeah.
So make sure that your knives are sharpened.
And I think, too, part of it is we're actually not holding the knife and the veggie right. So can you give us some tips on that, sister?
Yes, absolutely, I can. So, yeah, most people are not holding their knife properly. They're holding it by the handle. Gee, what a concept. Wouldn't you think you would hold a knife by the handle? But you don't. And I see this all the time where their middle finger is on the top of the blade. Tammy, Tammy, I'm going to have to come into your house.
I'm going to have to go to one of your classes here.
This does nothing but give you carpal tunnel. The only way to hold, this is a chef's knife, and this is going to be your workhorse in the kitchen. Everybody needs a good chef's knife. You need a chef's knife, a serrated, and a paring knife. That's all
it.
you need. You
Okay.
can spend $5,000 on a beautiful
Now, that's a
Block.
great tip.
three
Yeah.
knives. That's all
Wow.
you need. for anything. Your chef's knife you hold, come all the way up here. Your thumb and your middle finger hug the heel of the blade. So
Hug
you're
the heel of the blade,
actually
okay.
on the blade. And if you can see, that becomes an extension of my wrist and my arm, and I have complete control. If I'm doing this, it's got play. If I'm doing this, it doesn't do a thing. But this gives me complete control. You start with a cutting board and we can talk about the controversy with cutting boards these days too, but you want to start with a surface that isn't going to wobble or, go anywhere. Big solid surface, and holding your knife like that. And then holding
Yeah, that's
when
my
you're holding the
curiosity.
food, you give it the claw. So your fingers go in. If I can see my fingernails, so can the knife, and I'm going to get cut. So
Okay.
curl your fingers in, hold your knife properly. I could be looking all the way around and never get cut
So your
because that knife
knuckles out there further
That's
than
right.
the end
What
of
do
the
you do
finger.
with your thumb? Because I think
tucked behind.
tucked behind.
Thumb
Okay.
and little finger tucked behind those 3 that are curled in, and you are as safe as you're ever going to be.
So remember that show, Julie and Julia? It's classic. If anybody has ever seen that,
I
you'd
love
love
it.
it. And the one part where she's learning to cut onions and do it fast, and she's going to, is it the cordon bleu?
Yes, in France. In fact, when I
That's
saw
so
that,
classic.
once you learn, I wish I had an onion. I could show you how to cut it the way she does. It's amazing. But when I learned how to cut an onion properly, I did the same thing. I bought a big sack of onions, and I was Julia Child shopping away. It's
So
so
how
much fun.
cool, yeah. And can you cut them as fast as she does?
No, and I don't think I'd want
So
to.
you don't ever freeze your onions? though?
Never.
Okay, because yes, I remember my mother-in-law used to cut up onions and then freeze them.
Yeah,
and
I think you
then bring 'em
can,
out,
but I mean,
it
anytime.
would make them mushy and take away the flavor.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of anything frozen. I tell you why. It just that freezer burn flavor really gets to me. I can always tell if I go to a deli and I order a dessert, I can tell that dessert had been frozen for a while.
Oh my
You
goodness.
get
Yeah.
that weird flavor.
And I've tasted that. I know what you're talking about. It's kind of tinny or it's weird.
It is weird. But, with the produce industry, people go, well, I had to buy some frozen vegetables. I think that's great. And I'll tell you why. Because your industry picks that fruit and vegetable at the peak of the season, and then they flash freeze it, right?
Real quickly.
Canned, no. Canned vegetables, forget about it.
Frozen.
But frozen, sometimes you're getting a better product than what you find in the grocery store if it's not in season. So I'm a big fan of frozen veggies.
And we have a what's in season chart on fillyourplate.org.
I've used that a lot, Julie.
Oh,
A
yay.
lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of my go-to source for figuring out what's in season.
Oh, bless you. I'm seeking compliments here. Just kidding. No, and the one thing that a lot of us don't realize is that if you eat your veggie, especially your vegetables in season, they say that that's actually better for you. And of course, your nutritionist friends, Tammy, would be real insightful on that one.
Why is that, Tammy?
You tend not to lose as many of the nutrients. It's, if you're eating fruits and vegetables in season, they're probably, at least in our part of the country, locally produced. And so they're not traveling as far. It's not taking as long to get from point A to point Z, because if it's out of season, they may be coming from New Zealand or
Right.
or
Got it.
Fiji or something like that. So if they're in season, they're closer and they have not had as much time to age and potentially go bad.
I have a question for you guys. And this has to do with, well, I went to get some chickens yesterday, and my favorite variety of chickens are no longer available because they've been bred out. So they've turned into some other different type of chicken. And the ones I like are the Americanas with the blue eggs. You can't get those anymore. And I was wondering about produce and how we're finding all these new varieties of cantaloupe and grapes, cotton candy grapes and stuff. What is that ultimately doing to the original form of that produce?
Well, it's actually just like anything else. There's a lot of varieties of something, and they're just breeding it for a particular variety. So, I mean, you know this, there's more than one variety of basil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
There's a
something
ton of
like
basil
15
now.
to 20 different, you know, types of basil. So if you want something that's real sweet, you go to this, and you would know that.
I
This
just saw
type of,
peppermint
yeah.
basil.
So the same thing is happening with your breeds. There's just an array and availability. And of course, our farmers are experimenting with those seed types, but really it's just a different way of, finding that cantaloupe that has that cotton candy flavor taste to it, but it's not odd flavor or odd breeding. It's just experimenting with to see what our consumers like, and then that's
Interesting.
what
Oh, I
we
see. That's
breed for it.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
yeah, same thing true with animal products. I mean,
Yeah.
milk you're seeing, depending on the cow, there's a higher fat content. So if people are wanting more fat, you're going to see more milk products with higher levels of fat in them coming from the cows. And same thing with chickens. They've lowered the cholesterol in eggs a little bit just over the
Really?
time breeding.
Yep.
So, and I have a question for you. You have chickens.
I do.
Now, do you see any difference between chicken eggs that your chickens produce and ones you get at the store? Is there any?
Yeah, I mean, the color, it tells everything. The color is bright, bright, bright orange there, and that's a really fresh. I mean, our chickens right now are just cranking. I mean, we're getting 8 eggs a day, and I don't eat them. I give them all away.
Oh, really?
I know. I can't. there's something, I don't know. It's just my
You're too
mind.
attached to your hens.
I am. It's like eating my daughter's daughter. I'm sorry. But we give them to everybody. And I know, I mean, I can make a fortune on the amount of eggs that
Oh,
we get, but
yeah.
people love them and they're so good and so fresh. Tammy, I have something to tell you about milk, going back to milk for a second, though.
Oh, good.
Do you know my favorite way to cook pasta now?
What is that?
Okay, this is the original fettuccine. Cook pasta in milk.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. So let me tell you what happens.
Awesome.
You get your Dutch oven or your big pot, your pasta pot, fill it with a gallon of milk, bring it to a boil, put your fettuccine or your spaghetti or your bow tie pasta in there and cook it. And as it cooks down, it turns to cream.
Oh, how
And then
great.
once it's evaporated and once your pasta is cooked, but you need a little bit more liquid, just add water to it. Don't add more milk. Let me tell you something. You will never have pasta as good as cooked in milk.
Now, do you do it
That is
exclusively with
fantastic.
your fettuccine pasta, or
Any
can you do it with
pasta.
any pasta? Okay.
Any pasta at all. Oh
Wow.
my
When
God.
did you discover
Mac and
this?
cheese.
Yeah.
I was doing some research on new Italian recipes, and I came across the oldest pasta known to man called testaroli. And as I was researching it, I was reading an article about milk and how to cook it in milk. And then Ina Garten does an overnight mac and cheese where she soaks her cheese and the macaroni in milk overnight. And then when you put it in a casserole and cook it, oh my God, it's like heavy cream. It's so
Oh,
amazing.
I'm going to have to look up that recipe.
It's
That's
great.
a great idea. And I'm imagine you get a lot more protein in there too.
Well, yeah, of course. And then all you need is salt and pepper and maybe a little bit of cheese, and you're good to go.
Oh, it
That
sounds so
makes its
good.
own sauce.
So it makes me think of, I believe it's a book you wrote on rescued recipes.
Recipes.
Talk about that real
Yes.
quickly.
So my mom and I had our first cookbook, Mama and Me and You, and then we were on book tour, and all across the country, people were coming up to us and saying, "Oh, I love your mama's recipes. I've got one, I've got one that was my great grandmother's, and it's a revered recipe, and we lost it for decades, and we found it." So we created a book based on people across the country and their recipes, and the stories are amazing. Like a lady that had to marry a guy to get his mom's recipe for her apple spice cake.
I hope
And
that worked out okay.
well, she married him, got the recipe, and then divorced him.
Oh, apparently not then. Yes. But you
But-
got the recipe.
yeah.
So.
But these recipes are the old-timey recipes, where you just cook like your grandma did.
Yeah.
That's great. I think we all have grandma recipes.
Yes, of
I
course.
have
And if
some that are
not, you
amazing.
should dig them up.
And a favorite recipe, a dessert recipe, is it sunshine pie
Yeah,
recipe? Talk
yeah.
about that real quickly,
So
'cause
this
that's
is
another neat
it's
one.
called Arizona Sunshine Lemon Pie,
Yes.
and it's all done in a blender. And that's all you do. You can buy a store-bought pie shell, or you can make your own, and then you get your blender out and you throw your eggs, your lemon, whole lemons,
The rind
whole lemon, the
included.
rind and everything, and anything else that goes in your lemon pie. Blend it up, pour it in, and all of these recipes, by the way, are on my website. So
Yes.
just look for them. The pasta, the Arizona Sunshine Lemon Pie,
Oh,
and
that's
it
great.
is so easy.
The Arizona Sunshine lemon pie, Mother was always a good lemon pie maker, but once she started cooking your recipe, she goes, "This is the best lemon pie." And the whole family fell in love with it.
That is awesome. And Julie, when we went down to Tiffany Shed and we did
Yes.
her pumpkin pie,
Right.
and we have found Nancy
Kaywood?
Kaywood,
Yes.
her squash casserole. So many farmers have contributed to my books and my recipes and my columns, and I want to
She's
continue.
fallen in love with our farmers
I
and
have.
ranchers.
I know they love great recipes and
Yes.
with whole, real foods.
Yeah.
And your
The dairy farmers have a lot of dairy
yes,
recipes.
I was going to say on your websites, there's a lot of recipes
We've
too.
got ArizonaMilk.org, a
Yep.
ton of dairy recipes. That's absolutely
You
great.
have to include this milk pasta recipe from Jan.
Yes. we'll
And
have
how to
do
make
that.
homemade ricotta or mozzarella. You know what you need for that is milk.
Milk.
Milk and a little bit of acid. So it's either lemon juice, vinegar, or a citric acid and a rennet. And you should be making all of your own cheese. It's so easy because all you need is a good whole milk. You don't even need raw milk, to do
Just
that.
the whole milk.
I think,
Yeah.
I think
So-
we have a topic for the
Yes.
second half of our series.
Yes,
here.
we're going
boy.
to back Kitchen Hacks by Jan Diotri. And so listeners, stay with us because we've only just begun. Next week, we're going to have another show on all of this amazing, wonderful insights.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much,
guys.
Jan.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Fun. So fun.